the lost sheep. We must remember, the most important theme in the Gospel of Luke is Jesus came to seek and save the lost. So, for example, in Luke chapter 15, there are three parables about seeking the lost. It's about lost sheep, lost coin, and the lost son, which is also called the prodigal son. And what is the common thing among these three parables? It is, the owner look for the lost thing until he find them. And he find them, and there is a great joy when you find the lost one. And what is the lesson for these parables? God is looking for the lost sinner, just like you and me, and he find them until he found them. So, believe it or not, we must remember that to God, you and I are so precious. You and I are so priceless. And that's why Jesus risked on his life at the cross to save us from our sin. So today we're gonna look at another incident in the book of the Gospel of Luke, and this is something really happened. This is not a parable, but this is the real story about. His name is Zacchaeus, and this is a story that Jesus looked for the Zacchaeus, and he becomes saved. Okay, before I go on, I want you to read once again Luke 19:10. Luke 19:10. 우리 누가복음 19장 10절 말씀 같이 한번 보겠습니다. Luke 19:10 in today's passage. Let's read it in English there in 10. Okay, ready, set, go. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save what is lost. This is the theme. This is the theme of the Gospel of Luke. Okay, now I want you to take a time machine with me and go back to what happened here 2,000 years ago. We're gonna be in the among one of the crowd that gathered together to see Jesus. In today's message, in verse 1, it says that Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. This was one of the most difficult time in Jesus' life, because Jesus was passing through Jericho because he wanted to go to Jerusalem, and in Jerusalem he's gonna spend a week and he will be crucified. So this is the most critical time in his life, and the people just wanted to see Jesus, and they all gathered around, and there were so many people gathered to see Jesus. Why would they want to see Jesus? Because he was known as a famous teacher, and also he was a miracle maker, healing the sick and casting out demons, and he also made the many miracles. So they wanted to see Jesus, and they gathered together in Jericho. And there was a man whose name was Zacchaeus, and the Bible tells us that he was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. Well, the reason he was wealthy is because he was a chief tax collector. So let me tell you about the background of the tax collector in times of Jesus. The tax collectors were working for the Roman government. Zacchaeus was a Jew, but he was working for the Roman government. And the tax collectors in Jesus' time, they collected the certain quota for the Roman government. But above that, it was, they could keep it for their personal gain. So what they do is they charge more tax to people, and then they report it to the Roman government, and the rest of it, they keep it in their pocket. And if people resist, to pay tax, they can bring Roman soldiers and take the money out of them by force. So no one liked tax collectors at that time. And Zacchaeus is not just a normal, tax collector. He was a chief tax collector. And this Jericho was a very affluent city. They had a lot of traders, and it was a rich city. So we can assume that he made a lot of money by working as a tax collector. So we can see that no one liked him since he was a tax collector. He was hated by many people at that time. And this Zacchaeus, he heard that Jesus is coming by. So he never thought what would it mean to meet Jesus in his life. But he just wondered what kind of man he was. If you read verse 3, it says that he wanted to see who Jesus was. He just wanted to see who Jesus. He never met him personally before. But why would he want to see Jesus? Yeah, probably because he's well-known teacher, and he's known as a miracle maker. Maybe he wondered if Jesus make any kind of miracles, or if he heal any sick person. Or another possibility is that he heard that Jesus is the friend of tax collectors and sinners. Remember, one of the 12 disciples of Jesus, Matthew, was tax collector. And he was known as the friend of tax collectors. Nobody liked the tax collectors, but Jesus is known as the friend of a tax collector. So that might be the reason he wanted to see Jesus. So he came to where people gathered together to see Jesus, because Jesus was supposed to pass by that place. There were so many people. It was packed. And there is no way he could see Jesus. And in addition to that, he had the physical complex. The Bible tells us that he was short. How short was he? We never know. We never know. But Zacchaeus is the only person in the Bible who is described as short. I guess he was pretty short, shorter than me. Yeah. So, let's think about, let's exercise some of our imagination here. Let's think about, how kind of make his profile. Zacchaeus was, short, right? And what about his weight? Was he chubby or, skinny? How do you think? Chubby or skinny? we got dividing opinions here. I think he was skinny. You know why? Because he went up, climbed up the tree, and when Jesus said, "Zacchaeus, come down," immediately he came down at once. So if he was a chubby, it's not possible. He might be very skinny and very short person. What about his age? In his 20s or 40s or 60s? Maybe 30s. I think he might be around 40s, because the reason is, if he's too old, he cannot climb up the tree, right? And since he is chief tax collector, he must have some age. So he might be in the middle of the 40s. And that's who he was. And when he got there's so many people, and he was short, and there was no way he could see Jesus. But he didn't give up. He ran ahead, and he climbed the sycamore fig tree. And there might be some other children who climbed up the tree to see Jesus, and the Zacchaeus was one of them. Well, I wonder what made Zacchaeus climb up the sycamore tree, fig tree here. He had the social status and he had the wealth, and outwardly he lacked nothing. Yeah, he was chief tax collector and he made a fortune. But why would he climb up the tree to see Jesus? Well, I want to expand our imagination here. This is not in the Bible. This is from our imagination. Zacchaeus was, short, right? And he might be mocked by his friends as somebody midget or dwarf, by his friend. He was teased and mocked and isolated by his friends. And he may have anger and hatred and bitterness in his heart. And he made up his heart, to make up his physical complex. He worked hard, and he became he climbed up the ladder of success, and finally became, the chief tax collector. So everything looked fine now, but he still had the anger and hatred and bitterness in his heart. And people didn't like him at all because he was working as a tax collector, was like a traitor at that time, working for the Roman Empire. So he had something empty, in his heart. Even though he made a lot of money, he was suffering from the hurts of the emotional hurts that he got from the past, and also he was lonely, and he felt guilty for what he was doing, and nobody liked him. So I believe he needed love and acceptance. And there comes Jesus, who is called the friend of tax collector and friend of sinner. So he wondered what kind of a person, the Jesus is. And in verse 5, something unexpected happened. Jesus passing by, the tree where the Zacchaeus was climbed up, Jesus stopped there. And not only that, Jesus looked up and called his name, Zacchaeus. It's amazing. I think Zacchaeus was very surprised to see that Jesus knew his name. And he called his name personally, Zacchaeus. Come down immediately. I must stay at your house today. You know what? There were so many people there. So many people, came to see Jesus. But Jesus was passing by that spot for Zacchaeus. Jesus was searching for Zacchaeus long time, even long before Zacchaeus was, wanted to see Jesus. So it's not accidental that Zacchaeus came to meet Jesus. It was all God's plan. The reason Jesus passed through Jericho, the reason Jesus, stopped under the tree, it's not accidental at all. It was all planned by God. And probably even the sycamore fig tree, we don't know how long it has been there, maybe several decades or even more than 100 years. I think it was part of God's plan. God planted that tree up there for the salvation of Zacchaeus. Just like Zacchaeus, you and I come to know Jesus, and it is not accident. It is because God came to you, searching for your soul, and He saved us from our sin. Just as Jesus called the name of Zacchaeus, He called your name personally, each and every one of you. And that's why we come to know God's wonderful plan of salvation and His abundant love in Christ, through Christ Jesus. And let's look at the verse 6 and 8. And there's something amazing happened. Jesus called him, come down immediately. I must stay at your house. And Zacchaeus came down and immediately. And the people, let's look at first of all the people's response at that time. In verse 7, all the people saw this and began to mutter, he has gone to be the guest of a sinner. He was known as a sinner. If they name one person as a sinner, it'll be Zacchaeus, the most evil, the people in their eyes. But Zacchaeus, in verse 8, he says something amazing. Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possession to the poor. Wow, it's amazing. He's going to sell half of his possession and give away to the poor. And if I cheated anybody out of anything, I'll pay back 4 times the amount. Well, according to the Mosaic law, if somebody is caught with the stealing, they are supposed to pay the full amount of the stealing plus 1/5. They had to add 1/5. But Zacchaeus said, I'll pay back 4 times the amount. If he did what he said, I believe he became a homeless. He's bankrupt. He will lose everything he accumulated by this whole time. Well, Zacchaeus, in the eyes of the people, he was just greedy, traitor over his own people. But inside of him, he was longing for the acceptance and love. And Jesus knew it exactly. The way Jesus looked at the people is from the way people look at other people. Jesus looked at his past, and he come to have compassion in his heart because of what he has gone through up to this moment. And Jesus loved Zacchaeus just as he is. And Jesus just simply said, Zacchaeus, I'm going to stay in your house today. That simple sentence opened the heart of Zacchaeus and melted down all his bitterness and hatred and anger in a moment. Isn't it amazing? This is the power of love. You know what? I believe before we come to know Jesus, you and I were the same. In a sense, we are Zacchaeus. But Jesus came and saved us from our sin. And there are so many people around us living life like Zacchaeus, even today. And it is the mission of our church to reach out to them and share the message of the gospel so that they come to believe in Jesus